Is premarital sex mentioned in the Bible? Certainly, sex outside of marriage is mentioned in the Bible. It's mentioned by Jesus, it's mentioned in the Old Testament, it's in the New Testament, in the letters, even in the book of Revelation. There's discussion of this topic. So certainly, it's mentioned in the Bible. I'll just read you one passage from Matthew to give you a sense of how Jesus really raises the bar over and above even what the Pharisees had said. Jesus says, "You have heard it was said, 'Do not commit adultery.' But I tell you that anyone who looks at a woman lustfully has already committed adultery with her in his heart." It's very clear that for Jesus, even just abstaining from immoral sexual activity is not enough. Jesus is saying, have a pure heart. So it would be very hard to argue that Jesus would accept premarital sex when he's saying lust is tantamount to adultery. So clearly Jesus would not accept premarital sex. He goes on to say, if your right eye causes you to sin, gouge it out and throw it away. It is better for you to lose one part of your body than for your whole body to be thrown into hell. And he says that right after saying that lust is tantamount to adultery. So he takes this stuff pretty seriously. So for somebody who takes lust so seriously, it would be pretty hard to argue that Jesus would be okay with premarital sex. The Bible goes on to say in Corinthians chapter 1, verse 6, it says, "Do you not know that your bodies are members of Christ himself? Shall I then take the members of Christ and unite them with a prostitute? Never. Do you not know that he who unites himself with a prostitute is one with her in body? For it is said, the two will become one flesh." So it's very clear that sexual activity unites us with another person, and that we're supposed to be united to Christ. There really is no way that you can argue that premarital sex is okay. It's very clear that sex is meant for marriage. In fact, it goes on to say, "But he who unites himself with the Lord is one with him in spirit. So flee from sexual immorality. Flee from it. All other sins a man commits are outside of his body, but he who sins sexually sins against his own body." It's pretty clear that the Bible wants us to avoid premarital sex. And then it goes on to say in Ephesians 5, "But among you there must not be even a hint of sexual immorality." So it would be pretty hard to say that the Bible thinks that premarital sex or sexual activity before marriage is acceptable. There should not even be a hint of sexual immorality. Whenever we have sex with somebody, we're united to them, and that's meant for marriage. The two become one flesh. And Jesus wants us to avoid lust, and says lust is tantamount to adultery. So the standard is extremely high, and to think that Jesus or the Bible sets a low sexual standard would be a mistake. Now, God has grace and love for us when we make mistakes. His love is already given to us on the cross. It's just a matter of us accepting it. But you could never argue that premarital sex is acceptable according to Scripture.